Say the word encyclopedia, and those from the younger generation will likely not know what you're talking about. What's that, they may ask? Do you mean Wikipedia? Yes, people under a certain age may not know that the term Wikipedia is rooted in the word encyclopedia, which, according to Wikipedia, ironically, describes it as, quote, a book or set of books giving information on many subjects or on many aspects of one subject and typically arranged alphabetically, end quote. Yes, the set of encyclopedias within the family home was a sight to behold for those of us who grew up in the pre-Wikipedia, pre-Google days, when the internet was just a futuristic fantasy. Us kids and many adults had to consult with what now seems incredibly archaic, a set of books with static information inside that provided us with what was then the most up-to-date information on a subject or item. The modern encyclopedia was developed from the dictionary in the 18th century. A way of providing scope and context about a particular subject and topic, these resources really saw their heyday in the mid-20th century when door-to-door sales of encyclopedias was a popular and viable career choice for many the intrepid salesperson. Starting in the mid-1930s, the very intrepid makers of the Encyclopedia Britannica set the tone for the industry by putting boots on the ground, as it were, and sending out teams of salesmen, yes, it was usually men in the early days, to peddle their goods. The once popular trope of the door-to-door salesman was in part modeled after those who sold encyclopedias because, in large part, they were everywhere. At one point in many of our lives, we can recall getting that knock on the front door, answering it, and being greeted by a well-dressed man who carried a suitcase or similar object containing slick, pristine, and what we thought to be very engaging content. Books, new books after all, were a delight in the times before the internet, when information was conveyed, if not on TV and the radio, then through the written word, printed and often sold on one's doorstep. In the heyday of the encyclopedia boom, a set could set you back a few hundred or even $1,000. And keep in mind, that amount of money was huge if you think about it in today's dollars. Nevertheless, parents everywhere were willing to invest in the books for their kids, often dipping into the family savings or even taking out loans to pay for the latest and greatest editions from the encyclopedia company. The encyclopedia business was a profitable one in that these books, regardless of the expense, had to be updated and replaced on a yearly or semi-yearly basis as facts changed quickly. Talk about making repeat customers and having a guaranteed income stream. I mean, come on. Any parent worth their salt who invested in the original sets of books would have to replace them after they became obsolete if they wanted their child to learn. What a smart setup on the part of the encyclopedia companies, that's for sure. I remember my childhood in the 1970s going to friends' homes and seeing a set of encyclopedias, which always filled me with awe. We had some of them, but not all, as a full set was expensive and not really in the range of our family's budget. Checking out the newest versions of these books filled my childhood mind with a sense of wonder about all that was interesting in the world around me. Whether it was some strange factoid about an interesting animal from a faraway land, a brief biography of a classical composer, or the history of the modern automobile, it was interesting to say the least. Not having this information at my fingertips via the ever-present Google page, as I do today, made the search and discovery of new facts strangely more enticing. In 2010, the last editions of the Encyclopedia Britannica were printed, and in 2012, the last salesman knocked on his very last door, clearly selling out-of-date and expired information because, the internet. Google made its way into our everyday lives, and the ability to search and find out information instantly quashed any remote need to consult with a book that had information that was clearly out of date. Today, we take for granted the ability to find out information in a second or two and expect to do so whenever and wherever we want. Even though, believe me, there was something particularly satisfying about having a thought or question, reaching for a leather-bound tome, looking for the answer, and ultimately finding it amongst the many printed pages.